Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about the film Transformers: Age of Extinction. I actually personally like seeing mainstream movies and see what's going on currently at the theater and summer blockbusters. I like doing that, and I like to know what's going on at the theater, no matter what it is, just to see what kind of films are popular, where our film culture is at the current time. And there's a lot of reasons to lose faith in Hollywood, and I don't as much as most people do. And I actually like watching big, stupid Hollywood blockbusters sometimes when they're good. Every time I talk to someone and they're like, oh, what are you into? And I say, oh, I love seeing movies. I make movie reviews. And they say, oh, well, all movies are based on toys and board games. And I'm like, it's not just that. There's a lot of different kind of films going on and being made. And then I see a movie like Transformers: Age of Extinction, and every possible thing that you think is wrong with Hollywood and the reason most people stopped going to the movies is completely on display in Age of Extinction. I don't understand how people can enjoy this film. It has a plot, kind of, but it goes on and on so long. This film is 2 hours and 45 minutes, and it was really hard to get through. Mark Wahlberg, who finds Optimus Prime in a movie theater in which the guy who owns the old theater talks about how movies are crap now, it's all sequels and remakes, and there's nothing good anymore, which I'm not sure if that's a Michael Bay joke or a screenwriting joke, or just rubbing salt in a wound. Mark Wahlberg finds Optimus Prime. He has kind of an inventor junk shop, and he takes Optimus Prime back with him and his sidekick TJ Miller and his daughter, and they try to work on it, and then they find out it is Optimus Prime, and then the government comes, and there's like a bounty hunter, and there's like a seed thing that could create transformium programmable matter that can turn into anything, and then there's the Decepticons show up eventually. It's really a mess. It was hard to follow, and it also like got to a point where like I didn't care if I was following it, because Michael Bay made it so incomprehensible sometimes. Why isn't he holding... I thought he's supposed to be... I guess it doesn't matter. Oh wait, it does? Some of the action sequences would shift from Transformers to humans for like no real reason. At the beginning, I will give Michael Bay that it seemed like he was playing almost like a parody of himself. There's this one scene where the camera is going through what you presume is the Arctic for like a while. So you're like, okay, they've established this is the Arctic because they did all those fancy helicopter shots. And then it says the Arctic after probably a minute of footage. Oh, that's where I was. But I think I'm giving Michael Bay too much credit. It eventually falls apart and becomes your kind of typically awful Michael Bay movie. I definitely think it's worse than the last Transformers movie, which I don't remember that much, but I remember understanding what was going on more. I don't get why Michael Bay, who when he was under a producer like Jerry Bruckheimer, I thought he was pretty bad, but somehow working with Steven Spielberg, he's turned out to be even worse than he was before. This movie and these Transformers movies are the worst franchise, not just because of the racial stereotypes and how it represents Hollywood greed over filmmaking, or that it's based on a toy, or that it represents everything evil. These movies are just awful. I was struggling in my seat to get through this thing. You're going to be in a theater for 3 hours. If you show up for the previews, that is 3 hours. It is a 3-hour movie with robots. They continue the thing with the humans. I don't like the human plotline very much. Mark Wahlberg is better than Shia LaBeouf, so that's improved a little, but they're still kind of just thrown in there and seem like they have the dumbest reasons to include human actors. The designs of the Transformers are so ugly that I don't even like watching giant robots fight. I mean, Michael Bay is so bad at making these kind of movies that he actually makes giant robots fighting boring. I mean, think about that for a second. He's supposed to be Mr. Explosions and stylized shots and all this stuff, and he found a way to make giant robots fighting in a city dull. In a way, I think that's a skill, because I could have never guessed I would be bored by something cool like that. But Michael Bay has accomplished it again. When I left this film, I felt let down by filmmaking, by Hollywood, and society, that like, this is the film that makes you look at the film going public and go, what is wrong with you? Why do you have such bad taste that you are excited for this piece of shit? Like, this is an awful movie. These have all been terrible movies. And the thing that's really weird about these films is that Michael Bay wastes a lot of time on the humans when you think the whole cliche of Michael Bay is explosions and hot ladies. And if Michael Bay just made a much shorter movie, preferably also, but with mainly just a lot of action sequences, but he doesn't even do that because he numbs you with all this bad character development and stupid sidekicky joke stuff. The only funny parts in this whole film is TJ Miller, who does inject some TJ Miller personality into this film, which I did like his part, but he doesn't last long because, oops, spoilers, they kill him, which was my least favorite part because he was the only character I liked. I've seen a lot of reviews where people are like, well, if you're into this sort of thing, you'll probably like it. If you're into this sort of thing, you have really bad taste. What's wrong with you? It really wears on you. It's so dreadful and like an endurance test as a moviegoer to get through this terrible movie, Michael Bay. I think he has succeeded in making an even worse movie than his worst movie, and Michael Bay is a crappy director. Transformers: Age of Extinction is usually what I expect from summer movies, and this film reminded me on how terrible summer movies usually are, and why I'm a stupid idiot for ever believing that these movies could be good. I will still see mainstream movies. If someone comes out of this and goes, you know what, I'm done for a while, I would understand, because this film just whittles you down with all of its stupid character motivations, and you know, things just happen because there's so many films that have lapses of logic to get the story to go. This film is built on lapses of logic. It is just the worst. This is the worst film I've seen this year, and I did see The Legend of Hercules, that Kellen Lutz movie. It is just so mind-numbingly awful. I have to side with everyone who goes, well, Hollywood's just a bunch of toys and money and international box office, which this film has a lengthy part in China, of course. It's just all the terrible things you thought about movie making, and that's Transformers: Age of Extinction. I hope people will first not see this movie, that would be preferable, but also don't let this ruin movie making for you, or modern movie making, because there's a lot better films out there. And I have sounded pretty disappointed in this review, and I really was pretty shocked at how awful this was. I almost felt like drunk in disbelief at this movie. That happens, but thankfully filmmaking will move on, and there will hopefully be decent mainstream movies and blockbusters. And if you are someone who sees this and is like, I hate movies if this is what movies are like now, this really isn't a good representation of Hollywood. It's just what a terrible director, and interestingly enough, Steven Spielberg, who everything you thought about him in creating the modern blockbuster is evidently true when watching this film. They're a rare exception to what's going on to Hollywood. Not that it's amazing, but I think we should all have more faith in it than the way you will feel after this movie. And this might kill a lot of it, but don't let this film ruin you for filmmaking the way I definitely felt after watching this. Try to have faith in filmmaking and don't let these blockbusters ruin you. But this film is so poor that it will definitely put you in that place. And that's the kind of negative feeling that I think only a truly ugly blockbuster can bring you. So if you have seen Transformers: Age of Extinction and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to. Also, I did a review of the 1986 Transformers the movie because this was coming out and I wanted to do that as well. And thank you for watching.